What are we doing? It's like we've never done this before, you know?
Man, I blame it on Zoom because I swear every single time, and I've signed into Zoom like independent of being in a meeting.
Mhm.
And every time I join a meeting, it's like I've never been in Zoom before, you guys. I got to sign in or it doesn't remember settings and yada, yada. I don't know what's going on with Zoom.
Yeah, that's just Zoom, but I've been doing some streaming and broadcasting and all that type of stuff from Zoom, and I had a weird issue. Wait a minute. That issue didn't happen today. Oh, because I wasn't running my audio hijack session. So I've had a weird issue where Zoom is echoed on my audio hijack session. Not quite sure what's going on, but there are two Zooms. And most of the time, I think I might have troubleshooted a little bit of it, but most of the time, if I go into sound source, Zoom is not muted. Yeah, it says no redirect. It's not muted. But if I mute Zoom or I adjust the volume, then it doesn't do anything for me for the Zoom application. So I got to figure that out. And I think it only happens when I'm plugged into the headphones directly on the MacBook, because I think when you talk in a second, I'll know for sure that my adjusting of the volume will work now that I'm plugged into the Vocaster. So I think it has something to do with the hardware.
So
Yep. Your volume went down and I turned you back up.
What is your what does the audio hijack session look like?
So the audio hijack session is if I open it up here, let's see, it does not happen on that one. Okay. So this one I have Zoom at 1x, 1y, has 0 inputs, and it has 1 output to headphones at 5x, 1y.
Okay.
I have community, which is the broadcast block, and that is set with 1 input wire from recorder. And then I have recorder, which is set with 2 inputs, 1 from headphone and 1 from microphone. All right. Club deck is set because I'm using that for broadcasting to Clubhouse. That has 1 output wire to headphones. And then headphones has 2 inputs, 1 from Zoom and 1 from Club Deck, so I can hear both Club Deck and Zoom. And then microphone, which is a virtual audio device, is set to go 1 output to recorder. And as I talk you through this, I think I might know what the issue is, because my microphone is a virtual device, which is called Audio Applications and Mic, or Mic, because that's what Alex says. And so if I go over to Loopback and I go to Audio Applications and Microphone, what is it called? Microphone there, but mic and audio hijack, maybe because that's what I called the block. In this device, I have Fargo, virtual mic, and that's it. And in my virtual mic, I have a mess of crap. Do you have those type of devices in audio hijack where you're just like, this is my generic thing, I'm going to use everything in this?
And look back, yeah, absolutely. Where it starts off being one specific thing, and then you're like, oh, I quickly need to, hook this up so people can hear that, and then you add that to it, and then the next thing you add that, and you're like, what is this?
I know why someone complained that my Farrago was too loud. Because I have Farrago in my audio applications and mic loopback device and in my virtual mic, and my virtual mic is in my audio hijack and mic or audio applications and mic device. So let me go in here and make sure this isn't muted. It is not. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this so there isn't duplicates of those. And then I have my MacBook Pro microphone, which is muted in this device, but I have it there in case that way I don't have to fiddle with my inputs in different applications. If I'm just on the Mac, then I can unmute this. I have the Vocaster 2 in this device. I have the wireless microphone RX, which is what the DJI microphone show up as. So I can use that. And those are the only 3 devices now in this virtual mic. So I'm gonna do something real quick. Say something.
I wonder if you inadvertently have Zoom. So you're the only one that's hearing Zoom doubled, right? Is it echoing or is it doubled?
It is doubled. Hold on. acbmedia.org/5. I think inadvertently somehow I fixed it, and that's weird. Give me about 90 seconds and I'll tell you for sure. But I just did a real quick test. Shh, don't tell anyone. To the test server. Yes, that's where I went, to the test server. Let's see. 3. Yeah, so you came through the stream just fine. So, not sure what I changed, but I'm pretty sure it's fixed. Now, if it isn't fixed, then it has something to do with the vocaster, because the only difference from last time when I broadcasted using Audio Hijack and got that double is when I was using the built-in headphones. And not the vocaster. So I will do some testing with that and some experimenting. And if that's the case, and or if I can't adjust Zoom and sound source when I have my headphones plugged in, then there's something going on with the default audio devices.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So, and with Zoom, it's coming through doubled on the actual stream, not just in your headphones, right?
No, just in my headphones.
Oh, just in your headphones.
Yeah.
So what that makes me think is either you have Zoom included in one of your virtual devices and you're picking it up that way, or and maybe wait, does it show this? Let me see. Let me bring up sound source real quick. Zoom. Okay, so mine says no redirect.
That's what mine says right now as well, but I'm not sure if it says something different when I'm not plugged into the vocaster. And that could be the case too.
That would be something to check, because you could be routing it to a virtual device with a pass-through, and therefore you're hearing it twice, or you inadvertently had a wire connected to something you didn't want to connect it to in Audio Hijack, and you cut that wire, and therefore it's fixed.
Yeah. But it's working well, and the actual event that I had to do this morning, where I was broadcasting to Zoom, I was broadcasting my microphone and Clubhouse, for those who don't know, into Zoom, into a webinar, and then I was broadcasting Zoom into Club Deck, and then I was taking both of those audio streams and sending those out to ACB Media 5, and I had Farrago playing some, like the disclaimer and the directions. All of that went smoothly this morning, so that was pretty awesome. It's one of those, I conceptually know how to do it, but you don't think too much about it until you actually do it, and then you're like, oh, that's cool that worked. Good job, Michael.
I was gonna say that you've actually done all of those things before, except when we were doing it for the show, I think I was doing it on my side most of the time. But yeah, we practice, man. We were practicing for this moment, so you were ready. You already had the tools. You knew what to use. Just want to reiterate to everybody, if you are a Mac user and you do anything with audio or want to do things with audio,
buy every software except for Fusion. Yeah, you don't need that.
You may not need Airfoil either. I'm not sure.
True.
I haven't used it in a while, but
me neither.
For sure, if you do any audio routing at all, or you want to capture audio, Audio Hijack from Rogue Amoeba, Loopback, Farrago, for your soundboard, which, you can throw short sounds or, whole songs on there if you're just trying to play some random music. Instead of doing what was allegedly done at one point by one of the people on this show and just streaming Apple Music until you got ready to go live.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about either. I just said allegedly. I have no idea if anybody actually did this thing or not. But shh, don't tell anybody.
Hey, Audio Hijack people, please, can you tell me, so I just turned off the block in one of my sessions so I can grab a backup recording of everything. By the way, my Audio Hijack folder is going to start getting fuller now because I have a recording set up to record everything that I'm doing. But Audio Hijack people, can you tell me the state of a block if I disable it? So I just disabled the broadcast block with VO-Shift-M, and the only way that I knew it actually disabled it after I started the session is doing VO-Shift-M, and it said enable. It'd be cool if it just told me, where it tells you what it's connected to, if it said enabled or disabled.
I thought it said dimmed if it was disabled.
No, it just tells me. Now, if I press VO space, I do get the option to enable block, but it doesn't say anything about, let me rephrase that. My voiceover doesn't say anything about being dimmed. And I'm starting to use that terminology a little more, my voiceover, because other people are like, what do you mean? It does.
Yeah, because, you've tweaked yours quite a bit, just like I have. So that is a caveat oftentimes if something is unusual. Let me ask this one question about Audio Hijack. Are you navigating using VO in the arrow keys or just the arrow keys?
Just arrow.
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe they took that out, or maybe I'm mistaken. I
Yeah.
could be misremembering too. But I thought when you disable the blocker, it would say dimmed when you navigated, especially if the session was active.
So quick shout out to a listener. I will choose not to call her out by name, but if she's listening, she knows exactly who she is. We at Technically Working take no responsibility for urges to purchase either hardware or software. We cannot control the actions you take, but remember, you're saving your money for convention, not buying stuff we talk about on Technically Working.
I don't even know the genesis of that whole story, but now I'm curious. Okay, so carrying on. Yeah, we're not responsible for you buying stuff, even if we tell you that you should buy this thing. Well,
but
we only
you
tell
really
you
should go buy Audio Hijack, Loopback, Sound Source, and Farrago.
Yeah, you should probably do that. That is the killer suite. Those apps that Mike just listed right there, probably as much, if not more than anything else, is what will keep a Mac in my vicinity. Forever. Like I am a Mac OS user for life, or for the life of Mac OS until it goes away, or until maybe they put, Audio Hijack on Linux or something, which probably never happened. So
Audio Hijack on the iPhone would be kind of cool. I don't think that'll ever happen, but man, that would be kind of cool.
Would be nice. I mean, look, I would accept just the ability to be in a Zoom meeting and also have a backup recording going on the iPhone/iPad. Apple, you could probably get me to go buy an iPad Pro, like literally go buy an iPad Pro if you release this feature, but whatever. You don't care. I don't care either.
I have zero interest in iPads, and I would go buy an iPad. If I could do that, I would do that for on the go. And ask Damashe, I've had zero interest in iPads.
Yep. I kind of don't have really any interest in iPads either, other than what someone else can possibly do with them. But for me, it's a lot of screen for not a whole lot of game, to be honest.
Yeah. So we're recording a little earlier today, in preparation for travel. As of the time of this recording, probably at the time you're listening to this, I will be on my way to Anaheim. Technically Long Beach, to take an Uber to Anaheim. And in retrospect, I should have just flown into John Wayne, but it's already done and I ain't changing it now. And then I'll be at CSUN for the week of the 10th, and then headed to DC on the 14th, and I'll be there till the 18th, and then I'm headed home. And I feel like I'm sure there's something else that's going to come up between now and then, and a few other things. So we're going to record this episode, which I think we're going to turn into 101, and then we'll record 102. And I'm not sure if Damashe has an idea. I think we want to talk about office setups for 102, right?
Yep. We'll talk about our office setups in 102, and that will be the episode that goes out the week that you're in DC, right?
Yeah. So
you'll be back the end of that week, so we'll record 103 normally.
Yep. So that'll come out on the 17th.
I'm gonna have to start putting a calendar for Mike, where the hell he's going.
Yeah, because in April I got some travel stuff that I'll be doing. It shouldn't affect us recording because I'll be gone. Well, it will affect us recording in April. The 19th, I will be at a leadership conference that Oregon is holding, and we leave there at 4. We'll get home at 6. So actually, 6. We could record that night. I'd be fine with that. We might just have to record like 20 minutes late.
Well, we'll see. We may.
April's still a month away. Let's worry about March.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's something we could kick to the next day, too. You're not out of time.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be on the road and then come home I got to go record this podcast.
Then it turns into a chore. I don't want that.
It's not fun at that point, because that's oftentimes why I'm like, hey, can we record tomorrow? Because it's like, I'll be home technically in time to record the show, but I'm not really going to be feeling it. Going to be a little angry about it. Because I'm already angry on the way home, or annoyed or irritated on the way home, or sleepy or something.
So tell you what, you listener need to go grab someone's phone, get them subscribed to the show so they get the content that we are publishing. Otherwise, if you enjoy the content, we may quit. I mean, probably not, but you should go subscribe someone else to the podcast so the numbers look like other people are listening.
Yeah, I mean, we want other people to listen. And again, we're always open to your feedback. So feedback@technicallyworking.show. And yes, there is a piece of listener feedback, just in case you're saying this to yourself. Well, I'll send in feedback and they ain't really talk about it. We have not done our smart home episode yet. Got that feedback saved up. And yeah, maybe that'll be a episode.
I got a smart washer. Should we publish 102 to tip jar subscribers a week early or schedule it? What do you think? Because we'll have it a week early.
Yeah. I'm going to say schedule it because, tip jar subscribers are our most rabid listeners, and they'll listen to it early, and then that week will come and they won't have a show. And they'll be like, where's the show? Because they will have forgotten that they listened to it early.
How about we schedule it for them a little bit early? We'll give it to them on the 16th, the Sunday before the show would normally come out.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. See, we're technically working.
We are solving problems, man. Solving problems. Speaking of which, you brought not necessarily a problem, but a situation of something you were trying to bring into gravity forms or figure out if gravity forms would work for this solution. So I'm going to start with what I remember about what you were trying to accomplish, which is basically there is a schedule of events that has to happen. Somebody is volunteering to serve as support personnel for said event, and they need to pick the event that they want and submit their information, submit their name, email address, and then that is approved. And I say approved in the sense of like somebody's like, okay, that person has that, cool. And then that is communicated to a number of people that someone has taken, Saturday's event at 10 o'clock to host it or manage it or whatever the case is, right? Is that a good summary of what's going on?
That is a summary. Well, if you have more to say there, then go for it. Otherwise, I can give you a little bit more detail. For example, there's no approval process. If Damashe claims a position, it's his position, and that position is no longer available for someone else to claim.
Okay. Gotcha.
So right now, let's use some real names. Michael and Damashe are going to be names to coordinate this. Right now, if Michael wanted to host Technically Working live in ACB community, I'll talk about what I'm talking about. If I wanted to host Technically Working live in ACB community, I would go to a Google form and I would fill out a form and I'd say, hey, the name of the event is Technically Working. The facilitator, I am the facilitator, is Michael Babcock. Here's a brief description. Here's the date. Here's roughly how long it's going to be, 90 minutes, we'll say. And here's the date and time that I want to host this event. I submit that form, and that gets added to a Google Sheet. Damashe, let's say, we're going to take Damashe out of Technically Working. He's not part of Technically Working for this example. Damashe is a volunteer, and he's what we would call a host. On Thursdays, Damashe goes to the hosting portal, which is actually a Google Sheet. He arrows around and he sees this call happening on Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and he wants to be the host, who's the person who handles all the hands in Zoom. He's the Zoom bouncer, really. And so he puts his name in the hosting column in the Google Sheet on the row for Technically Working, right? On Saturday, an email goes out that says, hey, the hosting schedule is live now, and Damashe logs in, scrolls down to Technically Working because he knows he put his name there, scrolls over to host and sees that he's the host, and then he knows that next Saturday, because these are done a week in advance, he is going to be the host on Technically Working, so he'll go in and do his hosting needs. So right now, and then the last aspect of this is two aspects of this. Everyone who has submitted the form, all of those events for the upcoming week are added to a Microsoft Word document that's templated the way that everyone expects, which includes a heading level 2 for the day of the week and a heading level 3 for the title of the event. The heading level 3 is a clickable link to the Zoom account that the event is going to be hosted on. And that schedule is then sent out to all of the people who are interested in attending or participating in the weekly events, and they can click that heading level 3 to get the information. Now, I did automate part of this already using Microsoft's, is it VBS? VB? So Microsoft's, yeah, VBA.
Visual Basic.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I told Microsoft Word to do, and thanks to ChatGPT, I'll give ChatGPT the credit where due. But I told it that I want from every heading level 2, because remember, heading level 2 is the day that we're on, and heading level 3 is the title of the event. I said loop through every heading level 3 that's in between heading level 2s, so in between days. Copy those heading level 3s. And we'll go back to how this was crafted in a moment. But I said, copy those heading level 3s and then paste all of the event titles or heading level 3s directly below heading level 2. So I have a quick links for the day, which takes people directly into the event that they have. And then change the style from heading level 3 to normal. So then it's just the link without the headings. And then it's kind of like a table of contents. You want to go to the technically working, you'll scroll down that link at the beginning or the top of the email, and then you'll click on 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern, actually is where it would be for technically working, and it'll say technically working. It is really cool to hit 2 buttons. Right now I haven't saved it as a macro, but I'm going to, so I have to copy the code and get that set up, but I have that saved in Notepad right now. I want to put it in Joplin. But it is really cool to hit 2 buttons, and then all of a sudden all of those links are built out. And then when I run it on the whole schedule, it takes all of the links for every day and builds them out right there automatically. That is powerful. Like automation at its best. And I really like that. And that made me think, and I think I was talking to Damashe yesterday, I wondered, can gravity forms help us simplify some of the processes that we're going through? And that's what we're talking about this now.
So here are kind of my thoughts on what could potentially be done, assuming. So let's step back, and we're going to take all of the current stuff out of the equation altogether. We're building this from scratch, right? We're not doing things this way. So there's a gravity form that is put together for people, which it will basically be a duplicate of what the current Google form is now for someone who wants to do an event. So in this example, Michael wants to do technically working on ACB community on Saturday. Mike will go to this gravity form. He will fill out the information of the event.
Yep.
Basic form fields there to kind of match what's on the gravity form field. That gets added, so that goes in as an entry to gravity forms. And we have a weekly event. So you're doing this on, let's say, today for not this next Saturday, but 2 weeks from now would be when that would actually go live. So there's Michael's entry there. For hosting, so next Thursday, this would get published. And the way that I can visualize publishing this right now is using Gravity View and just having a view for this that would show this week's, the upcoming week's schedule of events. Mm-hmm. And now that that's live, I think you said an email goes out when that gets published.
Well, do people know at 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, they can go book their calls they want to do.
Gotcha. Okay. So that goes live with a Gravity View. And
can you schedule Gravity View?
I mean, I kind of think you should be able to, because you could say, show these entries. I'll have to dig into that a little bit. I don't see why not.
I don't see why not either.
Yeah, there should be a way to do that.
Yeah.
So this view is now published live with the updated information, or the view is updated with the most recent information. So I would go in, and kind of the way I'm visualizing this right now, without having actually tried to build it at all in Gravity View, is either a table layout, which is what I think people were dealing with anyway, because they were going to a Google Sheet to go put their name in. So what I think we could do here is have the entries displayed in a table view. You navigate down. So I would go to this form or go to this page and navigate down to technically working. And I want to say I would have to edit the entry, because when you fill out the form, there would be a hidden field there for host that you wouldn't see.
So you would build those hidden fields into the form that you're publishing for event facilitators. Okay.
So when I'm viewing it as a facilitator, I would see that there's not a host in place there. That column is blank. So I think I would be able to edit right there and then just type in my name and hit save, and that would update that entry with me as the host.
Okay. I see where you're going with that. And I wonder if you could do something like inline edits, to where you click the edit button for that specific field, and then it pops open an edit field that you put in, so it doesn't take you to a new page. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that part I'm not certain about, but I feel like that should be possible. I've just not built anything that needed that capability, so I haven't delved into it. But Gravity Kit's support is pretty decent. And if there's not a way to do it, they probably will help you figure out a way to do it.
They'll be like, here's a snippet that we got from Gravity Whiz.
So look, we didn't know how to do this either, but we reached out to Gravity Whiz and they gave us a snippet. So, do that thing. But that's how I kind of envision that being able to work. It gives you a similar navigation structure. So you're able to navigate by column so you can go down the list. And then as far as the back end output, so I think you said at some point there's an email sent somewhere. Oh, there's an email sent with the schedule.
Yep. There's a couple of schedule emails sent, but in relation to this conversation we're having, a daily schedule is sent so tonight, well, not tonight because we're recording on Saturday. So Sunday night, an email is sent with a list of Monday's events.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think, man, it's funny when you sit down and you put some of these things together in your brain, you're like, I know how I could do that. So I think me as an assistant admin or Cindy as the admin typically assign a Zoom room, because we're working with 7 different Zoom accounts. So we assign a Zoom room to an event. I'm pretty sure we as admins of the Gravity View /forms could assign that Zoom room, again, using hidden fields, to each particular call. And then when you generate the schedule, you could have Gravity Whiz pull data from your form and compile the schedule for you then.
Yep. So that sounds like that is, and there's obviously, as people are listeners, there's probably obviously some things that we're missing, or some things we will have to work around or figure out solutions for. But I think that could be done relatively simple and make it a little bit easier. And again, support at Gravity Forms has been decent. Gravity Kit's support has always been decent to me.
Yeah.
I remember dropping an email trying to figure out how to make a thing. I think it was when I was working on that thing for Steven.
Oh yeah.
And I reached out
wish list.
Yeah, and they sent me a link. It was like, hey, here's how you do that. Like, there's already a document that explains how to do that thing. I was like, oh, great. I guess I just didn't find it. And Gravity Whiz, is amazing. And I have priority support with all of those. So there you go.
There we go. Okay. So maybe I need, this is a problem though, man.
Here's what I would do though. Here's what I would do. Start working on building that out, right? Get it working, and then kind of run it as a shadow system for a while to make sure there's no bugs.
Yep.
Before you, and then even from there, maybe have a few people like test it, right? Some people that want to be hosts that would, and unfortunately we'll have to do double work for a minute, maybe
not really, because we could just pull those reports and put them into the hosting schedule on Friday afternoon, and just drop them into the CSV, because right now the CSV gets copied from Excel and dropped into Google Sheets, so they wouldn't have to do duplicate work.
Okay. So have them go in and test it and see how it goes.
And the problem that I have right now is now I want to go work on this. I'm like, I don't want to do anything else. I want to go build this out.
So I predict that within the next 2 months, Mike is going to be on here either talking to us about Mail Hog or what's the other? There's a couple of the local mail. So it's some kind of way to send local mail, like test local mail, so you can make sure your emails format the way you want them to, and all of that.
Local. I know you don't use local, but I'm thinking, I could build this out on the Mac. I could work on that on the plane on my way down. See,
That's the beautiful thing about local development environments.
Yes,
for sure. I will take a look at local because I am setting up this Mac new, and there is some WordPress work I need to do anyway. So I'll take a look at local, because I haven't given it a shake recently. So, and you're using it, I'll give it a shot, see how it works.
Yeah.
I'm just old, so command line stuff is comfortable. It's like, there's no buttons to figure out. It's like,
I don't remember the commands. I should just put them all in Text Expander, and then I only have to remember my snippets. I love Text Expander. That has saved me so much time too.
That is something I have to install on this computer. I haven't installed it,
man.
And I was trying to see how far I would get before I missed it, and I stupidly forgot that I didn't have it on here, and I went to type in the snippet that gives me the Zoom link to get in, and I was like, oh wait, I did install that. I should do that right now.
Hint, hint. If you have my business phone number, that's the meeting
install. Yeah, but then it also wants the password.
Oh, yeah, I always forget. You need a password. I can just go to the browser, punch in the Zoom link, and it's like, oh, you're signed into the right account. By the way, Zoom, if you're listening to this show, why is there a limitation of only being able to be constantly signed in to 5 Zoom accounts? That's the maximum amount of accounts you can have in that account switcher that you can use is 5 accounts, because, 5. I need 9 accounts.
So it's like an arbitrary number that they just picked.
Yep.
Kind of like Apple. Apparently, you can only have 100 VIPs for Apple Mail.
And you can only have 32 people in a group conversation in iMessages.
Huh. I did not realize that.
Yeah, because we have group messages for like hosting and backup hosting and stuff. And the max is 32. So we have to have a couple of groups.
So at that point, for that type of situation, I think I would seriously go look at something like Slack or Teams or something else.
Yeah, but this is a low barrier of entry, and everyone's already for the most part comfortable with messages. But
WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's an option for sure. Thankfully, there's not a lot of messages being shared in these groups, so yeah.
But that's because you guys may be handling it, but if I were starting today, I would look at maybe WhatsApp if we're trying to keep the interface kind of somewhat simple, and that way everybody's in the same. Because I feel for the person that is kind of administering all of this, that has to keep track of which group is which group to tell people stuff in.
Yeah, I feel you. Yep. Can't argue with that one.
But it ain't me, so I'm just making suggestions.
So there is my work for the week. What about you, Damashe? How's your week been?
My week has been a little nuts, man. I think I might have been getting a little sick throughout the week, so very low energy. So I didn't get around it. I didn't do as much this week as I wanted to do, but I got things done. Start there. Didn't get as much done, but I got stuff done. I have begun the process of trying to simplify. Simplify might not be the right word. I've been trying to more straightforwardly deal with finances, right? Because one of the problems I have is I have to do these 180s, and you go buy stuff. It's like, oh, I put in the Sam's order, and I picked up the Sam's order, and I put the Sam's order stuff in the machines, right? Okay, cool. And I pulled some money, and I went and counted it, and I put it in the bank, and yada yada yada. At some point, I need to keep up with all the stuff that I spent, and do all of that, right? And I keep receipts, but of course, I can't read the receipts, and OCR sucks in most cases.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I was like, hey, I need to, one thing I think I'm going to start doing, and this is just sheer laziness. Like, there's not a barrier other than the fact that, like, my mind is like, okay, I got the Coke order. All right, cool. Now let's go move the Coke order, right? Because there's places I know that need Coke because I didn't have enough Coke last week, or I didn't have enough something last week. So I need to go hit them first before I can take this crap off the truck. And I got to go back and take this off the van because it's taking up all the space on the van, and I, can't do stuff. So my mind instantly shifts to the next thing that needs to be done. Instead of me doing what I should have been doing the entire time, which seems very manual, which might also be a resistance to me doing it, which is stop, open up a spreadsheet, punch in, okay, this date, and here's Coke was the vendor, and $1,486.32 was the amount that I spent. And yes, that was the amount of my last Coke invoice.
2 years ago, did you think you'd be spending that much on Coke? So I didn't realize how that was sounding when I.
Okay, so you got it. Right?
I did. It took me a second.
Here's a little side note for people. I always get a chuckle out of it. I'm like, oh, I got to call my Coke guy to get my order in. Right. And I don't say it to be funny, but it always amuses me when I say, because I do have to text my Coke guy to put my order in.
So you got to text him? That's even better.
So I got to text my Coke guy.
Do you have him saved in your phone as Coke guy?
Nah. Because I actually didn't know. So he's actually my Coke rep, which is interesting. If none of this is supposed to be said, I ain't say it. But no, we're good. But no, so I have a Coke representative with Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola bottling company. Let's be clear. We're talking about Coca-Cola here, the corporation.
Yes.
They sell you Sprite or Diet Coke if you're really disgusting. Coca-Cola. I know, right? That's the only Coke I talk about nowadays. So there's a rep. This is the guy I first talked to, and he's the person that I text my orders into. There's also a system which I am apparently very horribly circumventing. And if any of those people listen to my show, listen, it's not a problem with you at all. not at all. Because there's a guy that calls me just about every week. He didn't call last week. I think you figured out maybe he ain't got to call me no more. But the way this system is supposed to work, if you work within the system, is either you call your order person or they will call you once a week, like a couple of days before your normal delivery date, and make sure, say if you need to put in an order with them, and you tell them over the phone what you want to order, and then they put that order in, and 2 days later you get a delivery if you're most people. If you're me, you go to Coke to their warehouse and pick it up. Because they won't deliver to a residential area, and I don't have a commercial space for them to bring it to. So
I got charged extra to ship your package to you. Well, I would have been charged extra at UPS because they say you're in a rural area.
That is so freaking weird. If that's the case, you should have sent it to the business address at that point.
Yeah. I sent it USPS though because I had to, and they don't charge the extra fee. But I was doing some price comparison. I'm like, what is this $3 fee from UPS? Nah.
Oh man, so I've started seeing weird stuff like that too occasionally, and you have to check it because it'll be like, oh, the price for UPS is cheaper, but then there's this weird fee. Like, what the hell is this fee?
Yeah,
sometimes
like $1 or $2 out over USPS, and it's like, never mind.
Yeah, sometime around the holidays, there's like a holiday convenience fee or some crap they had, and I was like, "What the hell do you mean? You know what? I'm not shipping that back to the warehouse until later, and later ain't got here yet." So that is the typical process for most people. Now, you could call up your order person and put in your order as well, but most people that I know of would have a delivery day. So for me, my delivery day would be Wednesday, as if I go pick it up. But if I was getting shipments shipped to, if a person if they were putting the product on a truck and driving it to a location for me, that delivery would show up on a Wednesday. So my order person would typically call me on a Monday.
Okay, makes sense.
But my Coke rep, who is actually the person I would call, like if I'm having issues, like delays in deliveries, or I just want to know, can I get this product, or whatever. Like I got issues. Like he's more like the account manager for me, basically.
Okay.
But because one, I'm on a special routine because I pick up my orders and I have them delivered to me. Me and him talk a little bit more than normal, and I missed the call from my Coke order person because I was actually in the prison, I think, that day. So no phone. And it slipped my mind on the way back, and I forgot. And then it was after 5 o'clock, and I was like, oh crap, I can't call him to get a Coke order in, but I really need that order done. So I reached out to my Coke rep. I was like, hey, what can I do about this? He's like, well, if you text me your order, I'll get it in for you. Actually, I talked to him the next day. I was like, man, look, I missed my Coke guy yesterday. What do I do? He's like, well, I can put that order in for you. Probably won't be able to pick it up until Thursday instead of Wednesday, but as long as I get it. All right. Yeah. I mean, look, I need it, man. If you tell me to come pick it up Friday, I'm good. I just need that Coca-Cola, man, because I got to get it out there to these people because they're thirsty. And somehow at some point we got around to, hey, if you text me your order before, I don't remember what time. Well, actually I do, but I'm not going to put Steve's business out there like that. Right. But if you text me before this, if you text me your order before this arbitrary time, you can pick it up 2 days later. And that's how things have been working for me. And because that works, it takes off that cognizant load of having to think about like, oh, I got to stop doing what I'm doing so I can think, what do I have at the house right now and what do I need to order? I've just been texting my order into my Coke guy, to my Coke rep directly, which works great because listen, there was one night that I really forgot. I don't remember what I was busy, but I forgot. It was late.
Yeah.
And I text and say, hey man, I'm sorry. I know it's late. Can I get this order into you and pick it up Friday? And he was like, sure, go ahead. So there's often times where it's like 7 o'clock at night and I'm like, crap, I forgot to text the Coke guy. But Coke has been treating me good over here in Tuscaloosa. I don't know anybody else's personal relationship with Coke or how they feel about their Coke distributor, if they're a vendor, a BEP vendor specifically. But Coke has been treating me really good. Like things have worked out great. I did have to make 2 trips over there last week because I went to go pick up my order, and I've increased my Coke order significantly. So I go to get this pallet, and typically what they'll do is they get the pallet jack or get the forklift or whatever, pick up the pallet and stick it in the back of the van. Occasionally I have to take like a couple of cases off the top so it'll fit. Cool. Go over there and I'm waiting. It's like, you got 2 pallets, right? It's like, oh. He's like, you want to take this one and then come back and get the other one? I said, can I do that? He said, yeah, man, no problem. You can do that. Cool. So get that pallet, come to the house, hurry up and unload it, and then run back over to Coke, give them their pallet back and get another pallet. And it's like, all right, cool. But it works. It's awesome. And the nice thing about it for me, just speaking from a vendor perspective, is I'm not. I'm restricted to the times that they're open for picking up deliveries, which generally they tell me between like 8:30 and 12, which is fine. But that's the only restriction I have, right? It's not like, oh, arbitrarily somebody's going to call you and say, hey, I'm on my way to meet you so you can get your order. And like, I'm way on the other side of town. And it's like, it's never the same time. It's, it's just, it's the expected day, but it's never the same time. It's like, oh, okay, Friday, I got to get this order from Buffalo Rock. So, between 10:30 and 12:30, I'm just going to hang around close to the house so I can run down the road and meet him at this Dollar General and get my order. No, can't do that. Hang around here like that. Nope. Be out. I'm like, oh, well, the guy normally shows up around 2, so I can go ahead and get some stuff done and then be back on this side of town about 2. I get a call at 11:15. Here, I'm headed your way. Man, I just walked in the post office and started putting drinks in the machine. Man, come on, dude. What are you doing?
Almost need another person to be able to just pick up your orders for you instead of...
Well, it's kind of what I need, man, but I would also then need another vehicle because these ain't small orders. I have 60 cases of 60 Coke products, 60 cases from Coke, and probably something like 30 or 35 from Pepsi. So,
and is a case a 24 pack or is it
24 pack of bottles?
Okay.
Yep, 24 pack of 20 ounce bottles. Yep.
Yeah.
So that ain't going to nobody's trunk.
No, they are not.
So that's a lot. It is quite a bit. But I increased my order with Coke for reasons because I'm trying to slide more Coke products in places and less of the other guys. Not because I personally care, but cost, man, cost. But one thing that I have also been looking at, in addition to just doing the manual stuff and just forcing myself to take the time to do it before I move on to the next thing, because that will help me greatly in the long run, is there was an announcement made a couple of days ago from Mistral. That's how everybody pronounces it. Mistral AI. They came out with Mistral OCR.
Oh, yes. You sent me something about, or someone sent me something about this.
I don't. Did I send it to you? I don't think I sent it to you.
It might have been Taylor, actually. I think it was Taylor.
So you're supposed to be able to use this with their La Chat. I think is how you say that. I don't know. La Chat, whatever. Which is their kind of web interface to Mistral. Mistral is another LLM from a company out of France, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But very similar to ChatGPT. They have a web interface and they have an app, which is horrible. They should fix that. But at least my trying to use the app was horrible. But anyway, they just announced their OCR product. And what's unique about this and extremely interesting to me, now I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm going to try it out in the web interface first. But the API is more interesting to me at this point because I can build some automations in conjunction with Hazel. Shout out to Hazel.
That's the other app that keeps the Mac around.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few of those.
Yes,
there's quite a few. Maybe people will get that in 102, like our list of apps that keep us on the Mac, in addition to Rogue Amoeba's stuff. But so the API is interesting to me for being able to automate stuff and make it happen automatically or run shortcuts against it very quickly and not have to depend on the app. We're talking $1, I think is what I heard, $1 per 1,000 pages scanned. Absolutely worth it to me.
Yeah.
What makes this interesting because if you go back about, I don't know, an hour when I said OCR sucks, because it does. It really is horrible for a screen reader user if you have uniquely structured data. I'm not going to say unstructured, but not your typical, hey, this is a document that was printed onto a piece of paper and you scan it in. Usually you get decent results out of that. But if you're looking at an invoice, for example, that has things in columns and rows, or you're looking at a receipt and things are not, generally formatted the way that a structured document that is a letter from the IRS saying you owe them $2 million would be, or you got a chart or something like that, it starts to break down very quickly for a screen reader user. And getting accurate information in general, just getting accurate OCR in that way in general is terrible. And man, don't try to read it. Like, it's not going to make sense.
Or if the text is even just a little faded. We have a person who is our treasurer for an organization I'm involved in, and he called me a couple of days ago and said, hey, I never got this check. Can you call the company and see if they can reissue it? And I said, sure, I'll call them. And the lady's like, yeah, we'll reissue it. And, got all that. And then him and I met up today, and he gave me some mail, and he's like, yeah, we got this mail. Mallory looked and she goes, the check's right here. and his OCR just didn't read the label on it because it was slightly faded.
Yep, that is a problem too, and it has not progressed in the way that I thought it would have as a smartphone user in 2011, 2012. Things look super promising as far as, okay, over the time we're going to get really good OCR in a phone. I am hard pressed today to find an app that gives me guidance to line up the document properly, let alone give me high quality OCR out of it. And I know there are a couple, like Seeing AI's guidance, works to help line the page up. So does Lookout on Android. But those are about the only two I can name, like right off the top of my head, that are fairly reasonable at least even giving me some instructions about having a full document view. And that doesn't work with a receipt. I tell you, you got one of those receipts from Sam's Club or something, or Costco. Yeah, it ain't helping you get those edges in view. So
I'm surprised neither of those memberships email you receipts, because they have a digital copy of the receipts.
So I'm not going to say that, I think I may have access if I go physically in the store, which I don't really do all that often anyway. Usually I do a pickup or delivery or shipping order or something anyway, which does give me a digital receipt. I'm not going to say you're wrong in the fact that I might be able to go log into my account and look at my past orders and get a digital version of the receipt.
But even the digital versions of the receipts can be horrible to read too with the screen reader. Like the data's there, but they're not structured the way that you might expect them to be.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, Sam's is not bad. I don't think I've actually looked at a Costco receipt in a while, but I'll follow up on that because I got to put an order in because I need some more of these Milano cookies apparently because they turned out to be somewhat popular. So move them out.
It's a good problem to have.
But Mistral OCR is supposed to be great at dealing with unstructured data, charts, tables, etc. And one reason I have high hope for this, I haven't tried it out yet, but I have high hope for it, is at least from their information in their blog post and what I've heard from news, mostly Daily Tech News, but what I've heard also reported from those outlets is you got a lot of research papers that are being OCR now using this information that typically wasn't being put into digital form with OCR. You may get a scan of it, but you weren't going to get OCR text of it because of the structural problems with trying to do that. A lot of people are doing that. You're seeing this happen with support documentation. So instantly, two things occurred to me. The first thing that occurred to me is like, oh, automating my receipts. I scan my receipts in. They get moved into a folder. I would even, at this point, to make it work, I would even use what by all reports is horrible software from ScanSnap on my Mac to help facilitate this. But yeah, let me see if I can build a thing with that. I like this. And then it automatically OCR my text, and then, hey, maybe even update a spreadsheet until I get this web tool built that I want to work on. The second thing that occurred to me, because one of the highlights in their blog post about, great uses for this was customer service. And I was like, oh, I could automate some scanning and OCRing of some of these terrible manuals and get the format output in HTML or Markdown. Yeah. So.
Looking at you, Shocks.
Okay, we're going to have to use it on their emails too, which I also thought about. That's funny because I literally thought about, be a good way to figure out what the hell Shocks is trying to tell us in his email.
Right. Instead of just all these images and stuff. Yeah.
Jeez. So excited about that coming up. Testing that out. So I have to go create a Mistral account. I actually did that already on the phone in their app, create an account. I did not choose to sign in with Google or Apple or Facebook. I think it was also an option. I just created an email password combination with one password right inside the app, which was surprisingly smooth. I hadn't done that in a while. It's not. In preparation for it not being smooth, I copied the password out of the field when it shows you your password before I hit save and fill, because oftentimes where one password will trip up in an app on mobile is you'll have to do your password and then confirm your password, right? It'll fill in the first password when you hit save, but it won't fill in that to confirm your password. Then you're like, okay, now I need to get that to come back up so I can copy that password. But that actually worked rather well. So I'm going to play around with this a bit because you have to be signed into an account, first of all, to test the OCR. Tried using the app to bring in an invoice that I had scanned, and that was available on the phone because I used the Scan Snap app on my iPhone to operate the scanner when I'm scanning things. So it ends up getting saved in that app, which is also available in the Files app on iOS, which is cool. That's one big advantage of having a Files app is app developers are more often than not storing documents in from their apps in a way that you can see them within the Files app. Sometimes they're in that on my iPhone section if it's not an iCloud syncing app, which is cool. So I pulled that in using the attached file thing or whatever, and the app kind of froze up, or VoiceOver froze up, or somebody froze, but I wasn't able to get anywhere after hitting, after dictating a prompt and like give me the information out of this invoice and hitting send. So don't know how that is actually going to work out. I'm going to try it out on the website. Like I said, I'm really most interested in the API, but I figured trying it on their website first is worthwhile before I go through the process of trying to write a script or something to use the API. Mike would be happy to know that on a website, which I do need to send Mike, somebody was giving you information on how to use this, and they use Python to send a document to the Mistral OCR API and then get it back in Markdown text.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, that's nice. Huh.
Which is probably going to be where I'm going to start my attempts with this too, if it seems to work out well from the web interface. If not, then I just won't bother wasting my time doing that thing, and I'll just keep handwriting stuff into a freaking spreadsheet like a savage, because that's what you got to do, I guess.
Python can manipulate Excel spreadsheets too, so wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, but I'm using numbers.
Oh, yeah. You should move all that to Google Sheets then.
No.
Google Sheets is horrible on the Mac.
Man, it is so terrible on the Mac. It's so terrible. It's so terrible.
But I think it's great on Windows. So part of me wants to think it's a Apple issue, not necessarily a Google issue.
That's funny because I just told somebody today about QuickBooks having screwed up their interface again. And I was like, he's like, oh no, they messed it up. And I was like, yeah, but to be honest, I'm not sure if it's a QuickBooks broke something thing or VoiceOver not keeping up with changes thing. What? But I've tried it on all three types of browsers that are available on macOS, which is Safari, WebKit, both Brave and Google Chrome, which are Chromium based, and Firefox, which is, I think, Gecko is what their engine is. Yep. But anyway, no luck at all trying to do the thing that I was trying to do. And it's really irritating because I used QuickBooks the entire 6 months that I was at Gentry. We used QuickBooks as a part of our class stuff. And I did it on the Mac. Like I did not have to pop open Parallels. In fact, the whole time I was there, the only time I opened Parallels was to do something in Zendesk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, a little disappointing. And I have not yet set up Parallels on this computer. So anytime I have to use Parallels, I'm using the Mac that's actually under this Mac right now because I haven't
funny.
Yet. Because I hadn't set up Parallels over here yet.
I was using a Windows laptop, a Lenovo Windows laptop that I got for work. And
always has a Lenovo too. It's always Lenovo.
I know. But this one has the extra buttons on the extra tactile representation on the backspace and the function
so
key.
You got the one you tested for him last year.
Not quite. It's a little thicker than the one that I got last year. But the buttons, I'm like, oh, these feel familiar. Oh, I know what that button is. Okay, that's the enter key. So that was kind of nice. Here's where the volume keys are. That was my favorite thing. I knew which ones were the volume keys because I was able to feel them. So appreciate that, Lenovo. But I was doing something on Windows earlier today, and I told Mallory, I'm like, there's nothing like using an actual Windows computer. Parallels is nice, but having an actual Windows computer is a lot smoother, and things just work the way they should. And I started to hear the Double Tap theme song in my mind because Steven said the same exact thing probably 6 months ago.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. I mean, I noticed it when, using the Windows laptop that is on my desk at the moment. Well, it's somewhere over here. Oh, there it is. Just in setting it up to use as Braille labeler, I was like, there's definitely a difference to using an actual Windows laptop. What I think I would prefer to be able to do, and this may actually be a thing that turns into a thing that happens around here at some point for me, which is buy one of those small Windows PC desktops.
RIM.
Put RIM on it.
Yep.
And 90% of my usage will be RIM from my Mac to that Windows computer.
Amen. Yeah.
I think that the only reason I won't do it with this laptop is, one, I'm probably going to flip it. But two, it's also a laptop, so I don't want to.
Right.
I'd rather sell it to someone who's going to actually use it as a laptop as intended and stick my little computer over in a corner somewhere and do that thing.
Ethernet it up and be good to go.
Yep, exactly, man. Ethernet, got to put it on Ethernet. But I think that's what I'm going to do because there are times where it's just better to use Windows. To the point that I've sat here and used the Mac to rim over to that computer to do stuff, and which is part of the reason I don't actually have Parallels on this computer either. So yeah, may do that. Even though Parallels is handy, and there are certain use cases where Parallels is great, especially when I need to on the fly figure out, hey, does this website work in Windows because it ain't working on the Mac? Oh, okay, it does. Cool. But if I need to be heads down in Windows working on something legitimate, having a Windows computer I think is better. And hey, if I get a desktop like that, I could plug in something like a Evo 16 and have full use of it without doing weird stuff.
Yeah, you could.
And use Dante. But anyway, that's a conversation for another show. We would like to thank everybody for listening to Technically Working. This has been episode 101. Because we did not stop the show. We told you we wouldn't, and we kept going. Oh, Mike,
are we going to say 101 or are we going to say 101?
I mean, I don't care, man.
Okay.
Whatever.
100 and I was thinking 117 seems like a long name. This is episode 117. That might be better. But it doesn't matter.
What I said wasn't meant to stick around forever as a thing.
Maybe I just think about it too much.
Yeah. So this has been episode 101 or 101, however you choose to say it.
We're over 100.
Thank you for listening because we did not stop at 100 this time. Of course, as always, we've already mentioned it, but thanks to our tip jar subscribers, because again, have you seen the price of eggs, right? That's all I got to say. So thank you. That's all we'll say there. Thanks to everybody who listens, because every single listener is very much appreciated. And go grab a friend's phone and subscribe them to the show also, so they can become a listener, because I think they would enjoy it. You can get in touch with us in a couple of ways. One is via email, feedback@technicallyworking.show. Or on Mastodon, because that's the only social network that either one of us really pays attention to. Even though we probably have accounts on all the other ones. He is Payon, Payown, at dragonscave.space. That's DRAGONSCAVE.space. And I am Damashe, DAMASHE, at technically.social. And you can use the hashtag Technically Working. I appreciate it if you capitalize the T and the W there as well, just to interact with us. So until next time, we appreciate you for listening. I think Mike was going to say a thing.
I was just going to say next week will probably be a little shorter, so we appreciate your patience with us because we are going to record back to back. Got to be somewhat transparent with the listeners and let them know that we appreciate you for sure. So I'm going to go into my recorder and audio hijack and hit the split button.
There you go. Wait, hold on. I'm going to do another thing on my backup recording and set a marker.
I don't think those markers come through.
I don't know. I've never had to actually pull a file off of the H.
How do I know if it's split? I'm not hugely worried about it because we'll just edit it from the Zoom. Primarily is what I'll do is edit from the Zoom recording, but it doesn't tell you if it happens.
It doesn't tell you anything. Yeah. So what I normally would do, because I want it to be for certain, is actually go up to the menu item and click it and not use the shortcut, because I sometimes am like, is that the right shortcut? I don't know. Let me go split it again. Now we know with 3 files.
Yeah.
You could go look in the location it's saving it and see if you have a file already there. And then there's a save.
Oh, that would make sense.
But it would be cool if they added a nice sound effect. It was like, they just sliced it in half.
Right.
So can we get that?
Like tape cutting sound or something.
Yeah.